previously on Horsepower Wars. 3 of the 4 teams got their cars fired up and ready for the chassis dyno. Stinky Pinky had a few issues, but ended up finishing their car and made a solid pull on the dyno. The Dream Team got their LS-powered Fox body running and on the dyno, and put up more than 700 horsepower without breaking a sweat. Team Biggin strapped down beer money and made almost 900 horsepower to the rear tires. Team Bodie didn't get their car fired up until the last minute, and their transmission would only go in reverse. The builds are complete, and now it's time to get the drag cars to the track to see who will have the fastest car at Shakedown at the Summit. Will it be Dwayne on the Dream Team, Lyle and Beer Money, Disco Dean and Dr. Rodknocker, or Bodie in the G-Bodie? Hang on tight, because anything can happen on Horsepower Wars.
What would you do if I gave you $10,000 and said build the fastest car you can to go down the drag strip? My friends, welcome to the $10,000 drag shootout.
4 teams, 10 days, a $10,000 budget, 1 race with everything on the line, 1 winner.
Got our work cut out, good.
I will take whatever we can get, dude.
Man, they didn't say anything about getting a tetanus shot.
Some of the most phenomenal talent you ever seen in your life.
You got me stacked, Jake.
Them boys are in trouble.
If we're not getting this head for this price right now, we're done.
This is going to be a great competition because the next few days are going to determine who's going to be on top.
She ain't pretty, but you ain't gotta be pretty to be fast.
Now that the builds are finished and the cars have been shipped, the teams were chomping at the bit to pick them up at Big 3 Performance in Hinckley, Ohio. Team Bodie showed up with a rental car and a tow truck to pick up the G-Bodie. They didn't have a trailer to haul the big block Chevy-powered Regal, but AAA came to the rescue and got them to the track.
We got no truck,
First on the trailer.
no trailer, no
First to
tools,
fire.
and we're the first out of here.
The Dream Team showed up to pick up the Dream Machine, only to find out they had a starter froze up on them.
Whose idea was this?
They couldn't fire it up.
Shoot the appendix up.
You know, they said we can't work on the car till tomorrow, but I don't want to put a starter in tomorrow. I want to put a starter in now and drive it, let it work the way it works when we left Cali. We don't push nothing around here.
We will drive it in the trailer.
Lyle and Team Biggin was so confident that Beer Money would win. He was already making room in his stacker trailer.
See, our plan was we brought the stacker so that we can put beer money up top on the way home, and then one of our guys from back home wins one of the cars for the drawing online. Could go right in the bottom, 2-for-1 special, all the way back to North Carolina where they belong.
When Stinky Pinky brought his motorhome and his enclosed trailer to pick up Dr. Rodknocker, they fell in love with the rust on their hood exit. Zoomies.
Old Rust Bucket, Dr. Rodknocker.
We'll paint them up. It'll be pretty. It'll be pretty.
No one did a burnout with their car, but Stinky Pinky did challenge Biggin to a drag race in the parking lot. Once all the teams picked up their cars, they headed to Summit Motorsports Park for Shakedown at the Summit. It took a little while for all 4 teams to show up, but before too long, everyone was set up and strategizing what they needed to do before the race. Each team received an extra $500 for any last-minute parts they may have needed. If $500 wasn't enough to cover parts, a special rule was in place for the race. Any team could spend up to $1,000 of their own money for extra parts and repairs, but they'd have to carry an extra 200 pounds of weight. And with some of the team's budgets being spent, this rule was in full effect. 200 pounds of weight may not seem like much, but when you're trying to go as fast as possible, every little bit makes a difference. The $10,000 drag shootout is being held at beautiful Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. It's a world-class facility with a legendary racing surface. It's the best of the best, and the racers know that the racetrack is going to take everything they throw at it. Each team has 5 qualifying passes to get their car dialed in and ready for the final race. That means they get 5 chances to test suspension, change tire pressure, mess with the tune, or anything else to make their cars hook and book down the track. Because all 4 cars are brand new and they've never been ran down the track, all 5 passes are going to be crucial to make the cars work. As we get ready for qualifying, we checked out the cars. Stinky Pinky added a used, worn-out nitrous solenoid to their big block blown combo, scrounging together the very few bucks they had left.
Look at it. That's nitrous.
On the road 7 weeks, man.
I'm so proud right now. Get on it, Dino.
I'm trying. I'm thinking. Calculated thinking.
I just want to cool the intake charge so it doesn't detonate.
Yeah, yeah. 32 is like 70
Horse?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think 25 is around
Yeah,
50.
but if I'm nowhere near a nitrous guy and I don't claim to be.
I'm going up.
What everybody says is, you know, you put your main jet, 32, 28, whatever, but then it has a bunch of orifices. So that jet feeds a bunch of different holes, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it still has to come through the 32. It regulates everything else. So, I mean, is it just distribute it evenly through the spray bar and everything compared to
that. Well, that's the reason when you go from like a single fogger to like a plate or like a full-on fogger, that's the reason they pick up power, because this is uneven, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, this does a good job of distributing it, but I mean, a plate or a direct pour is going to be obviously better, but I mean, it'll be fine. Bodie didn't want to spend any extra money, and so they used the Frigola wrenches that were provided for their chute activation lever. Ben, will you show me how it works?
All right, are we hooked up back there, Cole? Yeah, you can throw it. All right, here we go. Damn, it worked. Okay, you got the wheelie.
Got to get out here and show why we #1, baby. Team Bodie and Dow Brothers all the way.
While Team Bodie was sporting a little Louis Vuitton in the trunk of their rental car, the actual G Bodie was springing a water leak.
So we're about to make the call for the first round of qualifying. These teams had limited time, super limited budgets, and every single car runs and drives. It's already really impressive. These guys are under a bunch of pressure. They got their crews here, they got family here, they have fans in the stands and watching from home, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it all works out in the very first round. I saw Dream Team putting in this really old boost controller into their car because they're having trouble with the car coming up onto the brake and building boost, but we'll just have to get them up into the staging lanes and see how they run in round 1. But for now, we need to get some C16 racing fuel from VP into the car so they can make a full run down the track.
Ready. That's what we built it for.
All the drivers are getting ready for their first shakedown pass.
You want to make sure everything is straight, figure out where the suspension is happy at, figure out where the motor wants to run at. This is the very first pass on the tires, very first pass on the car, so we're trying to take it easy and just go from A to B right now. That's what I do, baby. It's another day at the office.
I don't think I'm being really aggressive, but I think I'm trying to make a statement, and we don't want to do a full pull. Just want to make sure it goes, shifts through the gears, doesn't lay over, doesn't hurt anything. The main goal is to go 60 feet and then see how fuel pressure is, how everything is, and then adjust from there.
Car gonna go too damn fast, it's gonna blow that hood right off.
It's time to see how fast a $10,000 car that was built in 10 days can make it down the track. Dwayne and the Dream Machine were first to pull up. Dwayne talked a big game about his first pass being the fastest, but he's struggling just to keep the car running after the burnout. The team finally got the car to fire back up. Hopefully it stays running long enough to make a full pass. First hit was a soft one, and the Dream Team lifted at half track, going 11:52 at only 87 miles per hour. Next up is Dean behind the wheel of Dr. Rodknocker. And this car is by far the loudest on the track. With most of their budget spent and the corners they had to cut to get the car running, everyone is wondering if Dr. Rodknocker will stay together. Stinky Pinky's Camaro sounded good, but they only ran it a small part of the way because the rev limiter was set too low and it popped the burst panel on the supercharger. After fixing their transmission issue, Team Bodie was ready for their first shot at the track. But like the Dream Machine, the Jeep Bodie died after the burnout. Jay needs to get the car started to have any shot at making a pass. The carburetor tune-up are going to be crucial for a successful pass next round. Team Bodie had some problems with the car dying after the burnout, and it spun the tires bad at the hit. There are some questions about Bodie's suspension geometry, and the drive shaft is hitting the floor.
First pass, went down the strip, didn't blow up. Blew the tires off. Blew the tires off, but it didn't blow up.
Finally, Lyle had his shot. Team Biggin's been talking a big game. Now they need beer money to back him up. And in the end of first round, Team Biggin was #1 qualifier with an ET of 923.
Got a fuel leak. Hole in the fuel cell or something.
After their first hit, the fuel tank split right down one of the welds and dumped fuel everywhere. They were lucky the car didn't catch on fire.
Leaking down the back of the cell. I don't know if it got into the puke tank here or could be a weld, but we got all night to fix it. It'll be fine. That was a good hit. Pretty solid to be the first one out, you know what I'm saying? Straight, shifted good, made the shift, nitrous stayed on, spooled good. Bump box is slightly aggressive, but that was a good hit for the first one. I was very happy with that. I let out at 8. Let out and coasted to the quarter mile, go 923. I told them, I've been telling them. Now they believe me, I bet.
This was the qualifying order after the first round in Norwalk, with Lyle Barnett in the #1 position at 923. Big Daddy was #2 with Dean and Jay Bodie rounding out the field. As the sun set in Norwalk, it was clear all 4 teams had a lot of work to do. And all 4 teams promised 8-second passes. Now it's time to see if any of them can keep that promise. Overnight and into the morning, the teams had a lot of work to do. Dream Team was having issues with their tuning and couldn't seem to figure out how to get the Mustang to spool. Big N was having wastegate issues. At the top end of the track, they saw more than 30 pounds of boost. Stinky had to rebuild their entire front suspension, and Team Bodie had suspension issues, plus the drive shaft hit the chassis.
Homer, shake on!
Get this. I'm picking a winner.
Team Bodie had trouble keeping the car running after the burnout, and it spun again when they left the starting line. It sounded clean further down the track, but they need to figure out what's going on with the idle and the rear suspension.
Shut off for some reason, activated the safety switch, so we gotta go back and work on that, see what's up with the safety switch, but I think we're gonna be all right. Car tried to leave, it looked like it's gonna be okay.
Stinky Pinky red lit off the foot brake, but made a massive improvement. With a full pass on Dr. Rodknocker, they ran in the 9s to move up to number 2.
Made A to B, so we went full pull, quarter mile, no problems, should be good.
The Comp Cam's Dream Team left a little lazy, but it came up on boost, making it the third car to make a 9-second pass. Maybe their 20-year-old boost controller is hurting them more than it's helping them. And finally, Team Biggin tried to put more power in the beer money so they could break into the 8-second zone. But they spun the tires on the starting line and let out early. And for some reason, the data acquisition didn't record the run, so they have no data to try and fix the problem. With a little more seat time under their belts, all but one team improved on their previous qualifying run. The teams really need to step it up. After a shaky run down the track, it looks like Jeep Bodie had a big mechanical failure. The car was all over the track, and there was a lot of smoke in the top end of the track. It's clear something's broken.
A lot of work, man. We got the train fluid leaking, we got rear fit. Like I say, I ain't worried. We fix it. We get to it, so.
Okay. All right, I'll let you get to it.
All right, baby. Thank you.
Stinky Pinky has been making solid progress every run, and after fixing some front-end suspension issues, they're ready for another pass. Dean stole the number 1 qualifying spot from Team Biggin with an elapsed time of 9.12 seconds in the quarter mile. Looks like the pink team's gonna be hard to beat.
As of right this moment, Dean is the number 1 qualifier.
Let's hope it holds up, ladies and gentlemen.
The Dream Team's car is making some serious horsepower, but the lack of a bump box has made the Mustang almost impossible to stage. There's still a gremlin in the electronics that they've been chasing all during qualifying, but it didn't help that this entire pass was run in high gear, and it may have cooked the transmission.
But what it's doing after that, I don't know.
Team Biggin only has 2 more chances to out-qualify Stinky Pinky for the number 1 spot. Beer Money's traction has been an issue. Now it's time to see if they have the suspension and chassis set up right. Again, the 4-eyed fox spun out at the hit, so Lyle let out and coasted down the track, making this the worst run of the weekend. With all the time and effort these guys have into the car, they're struggling to back up all the trash talk.
Dwayne left in high gear and never lifted, because that's his rule, remember? Because he's Dwayne.
Oh, yeah,
I'm the king of radial racing, so he rolled all the way down there.
All the way down there?
All the way. You could watch the top of Jeff Reed's head actually come off and the steam shoot out. And
Jeff is the most mellow guy.
Oh, no, dude. He was over there. He was hot. He's almost as hot as the transmission. It was awesome. We got some burgers to cook. Can we cook them on that transmission of yours? Because it's got to be hot.
It ain't hot. That mother's like the sun right there.
All right.
If you need a tan, get up under the car.
No,
Hot jacket.
The trans pan is a griddle.
The Team Bodie, after that last run, something was weird. Drive shaft was making contact, and I thought maybe something in the geometry got tweaked. Sure enough, they bent their 4-link brackets, and the entire rear end shifted, and their tires started getting shredded, and their drive shaft started making contact with the car, which is really, really bad. Their whole rear end's tweaked. The quarter panel's actually smashed from where the tire hit it. They got to get the tire replaced, and they got to get the rear end fixed and put back into place, because it's bad under there. It's really bad. Day 2 of qualifying is completely finished. All the teams had some interesting things going on. First off, Stinky Pinky came from way back. He made the biggest mile per hour, 152.9 in the quarter mile, and he went 128 and 60, which is by far the fastest car in 60 foot. Nobody expected that, which is a huge upset. Team Biggin was #1 qualifier, and then Stinky Pinky beat him out. And with how much crap he talked, it'll be really interesting to see what they do, because they've been spinning the tire on the hit the last 2 passes. Team Bodie, their entire rear end ripped out of the car on the last pass, and they're trying to fix it right now. They're going to be up all night working on that car, and the Dream Team is having some technical difficulties with some of the electronics in their car, and they've got to get it all figured out for tomorrow. The night is getting late, the camera crew is tired, and we're going to head home, but these guys, as you can see, are working hard, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in round 4 of qualifying.
Today, Sunday, is not only the last 2 qualifying runs, but it is race day. As the sun rises over Summit Raceway Park in Ohio, every driver, every team member knows someone's going to walk away as the winner of the first ever 10K drag shootout, and 3 teams gonna lose their cars. It's a big deal, and everyone is making sure they're ready to do battle.
Let's go, baby. It's time to get it. Make it work.
Team Bodie, they got the rear end together and the car looks like it's ready to run, but I don't think they've had any time to mess with their idle, because every time after the burnout the car wants to die, and I guess we're going to see if they fix that issue or not.
Spinning at the hit, moving all over the track, and having idling issues staging didn't keep the G-Bodie from making a solid pass. A bottom 9-second run out of nowhere, and they didn't run the car all the way through.
Yeah, 9-2 with that late of a start.
And this is anyone's race. Dwayne rolled the beams, testing the new launch procedure, but they backed up and tried again. Question on everyone's minds was, can they get off that clean run the car is capable of? But now, would this round count?
Everybody is running so much better. Dream Team was just the first into the 8. Some people counted them out, but they are back in it, and they are #1 as of right now.
Team Biggin pulled some power out of beer money to try and keep it from spinning on the starting line and make a fast 8-second pass. Let's see if the changes they made will pay off. Beer money just doesn't want to run down the track. The 3rd-gen Camaro has been the most consistent car with the least issues the entire race. They may have struggled during the build. They're making up for it now. Dean put Dr. Rodknocker in the 8-second zone with an 8.96 at almost 158 miles per hour. and all of the rods are in the block.
Team Biggin and Stinky Pinky just ran. Biggin had a big mile per hour. I think it was 153, and Stinky Pinky just went 896 at 157, which is a huge mile per hour. He's just got to go A to B and ET better. He's got it in the bag. So I was just informed Norwalk is throwing the Dream Team's run out. According to NHRA rules, the Dream Team's 8:59 qualifying run was disqualified because Dwayne rolled through the beams before the start system was activated. The tech at the starting line allowed Dwayne to make a run to get some data, but it was the right call to disqualify the run because he rolled through the beams. Guys, that was a hell of a pass. The car looked great. The track's throwing the run out. It does not count. It's good as a test run. You guys obviously got some data, but it doesn't count as number one.
I hope you're lying.
I'm not. I'm dead serious.
The starter waved us back in. He's okay.
The starter, Bill, whoever made the decision, it doesn't count for the competition. I'm just letting you guys know.
Listen, it don't matter. This is a TV show and a race. The reason we had this show was to show what we could do in 10 days with $10,000. I could care less what it meant. This is documented. Which car went the first 8 first?
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
And look at the TPS we lifted.
And look at the ugly car. That was a nice little wheelie, right?
All right, here's the deal. Q5, last qualifying round of Horsepower Wars. Stinky Pinky has the top slot, but he's gonna sit Q5 out. The other 3 teams, let's see what they can handle.
Controversy has exploded in the pits and in the staging lanes with the Dream Team's 8:59 run. The other teams took notice of not only the car, but the turbo.
I know, but that's why I'm
They
saying.
have to weigh more than 3,400 for that turbo to be legal.
The team swapped a larger billet turbo, but the question was where and how did they get the money? And how much should their car really weigh with this turbo? It was about to get ugly right before qualifying. With the clock ticking, race officials told the drivers to put on their helmets and race. We tried to figure this situation out afterwards.
That if it goes by what should be the rule and logic, that they will be number 4.
Flat out.
Can we just,
I know.
yeah, but even if the weight is wrong, then can we just make sure that it doesn't count for them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have a strategy for qualifying right here. If they go really fast, and right now we think, oh, the run's not going to count. Well, then they decide it does. Then it our strategy here.
Yeah, drive it hard to the 8.
If they end up letting that run count, we'll just load it up, and if they can stop us from getting out of the gate, they will. I mean, that's just the way we'll do it. You know, I mean.
I'll tell you that won't be real good for the internet. We will break the internet today. Yeah.
The Dream Machine is finally showing some huge progress. Team Bodie showed the other teams what was up with their last run, and now they're looking to kick it up a notch. A massive run deep into the 8s with the front tires in the air. There was a nitrous backfire that blew their hood scoop clean off the carburetor, and it may have damaged other parts. Team Biggin needs a clean pass badly. They pulled even more power out of beer money to keep it from spinning, and they moved weight around in the car to get a little more balance for the track. Let's see if they got the car figured out. Yet again, beer money is fighting to get traction. They went a little faster, but it wasn't fast enough to number 1 qualify.
See how this drama plays out, huh?
Well, I'd be curious. If I heard, I don't know if you saw, I think I heard 866 at 159.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's going to stand. We'll see.
Oh, a little roll-in action?
No, we got there's some good going on. So they have a different turbo on. They've got a billet wheeled 80. It was allowed in because they traded their 75 in, but they bought their 75 from Summit. It was a Borg Warner S475 bought off the shelf. Well, so what they're allowing us to do here is trade parts. Like if we bought that turbo off of Summit for $500, we can trade it back in for the $500 and buy something else with that money. They traded their turbo back in, and it was just an oversight, not a big deal, but they took the Summit credit and turned it into cash and bought a used badass 80mm turbo.
Oh.
And you can't do that.
I did not know that.
So last night's run and that run right there was with that S4, the 80, and from what I understand, it doesn't count. So they'll still be in the 4-hole. they know that it was me that caught that. Like at the starting line, Dwayne wouldn't look at me. None of them would talk to me. They were staring at me and shit. And I'm like, well, you know, it sucks to suck. Like, y'all are terrible cheaters.
Lyle thinks he's got him in a bind. Lyle thinks that he caught him cheating. I don't know what the scoop is, so it's hard for me to personally say. If they can prove it and they're outside the rules, there's gonna be some friction. And it ain't gonna be between Bearing and Race. It's gonna be between Lyle and Big Daddy.
Hey guys, we need to meet in the pits right now. We have a very volatile situation with the turbo on Dream Team's car, and yeah, we gotta talk. Get to the pits now.
Turns out the Dream Team sold and swapped their 75mm turbo with a billet 80mm turbo that'll support a lot more power.
The Dream Team got pre-approval and said, hey, we want to buy this used 80mm turbo. And that's 100% legal if they have the budget to cover it. But the way they did it, the way they purchased the turbo, was 100% against the rules. Word for word in the rules, it says no team can trade or sell parts to third party, and they traded their old turbo toward this 80mm unit, and that is 100% against the rules. I have text conversations between Eric and I have to take responsibility. I pre-approved it and let it through, but there was some stuff that I missed on it, and I have to take responsibility because this is a mess, and this could really blow up everything. This whole competition could be shot.
The teams are threatening to walk if we don't do something about it.
That's not a really fair deal.
Dream Team is upset because it was approved, despite what the rule book says. This situation is gonna get a little dicey. The teams are having a private meeting in Stinky Pinky's trailer, and Dream Team's Eric Kenward comes in to try to explain the situation.
We did 100% of what they told us to do for the rules. We submitted our stuff. We took the amount of money that we were told to take out of our budget, and they allowed that turbo in. Point blank. That's 100% we did. There's no reason for anybody to be mad at us, because we did 100% what the rules say.
You knew that you bought the S475 from Summit. You knew what you were doing. It's not rocket science.
We got it 100% approved.
Do not try that. I know what y'all did.
We got it 100% approved.
You know you bought that turbo from Summit. We know we can't turn Summit credit into cash credit. That is the most basic. Yes, you did.
No, we didn't. We used our.
How did you not do that?
We used our Fresh Prince money. Brand spanking new. That turbo's $11.99. Brand spanking new.
That shit. You keeping the turbo and toting another 100 pounds and keeping the #1 spot is complete and total bullshit. And I'm at the point right now that I'm gonna load that car in my trailer, and if they can stop my motorhome before it gets out of here, good luck. But otherwise, I'm gonna knock the fence down.
We all have a lot of time, sweat, tears, family life lost, money down the drain. We've all put everything we've got into this situation. Okay, and for something like this minimal of this turbo to break all of us apart and do this is shitty.
Basically have it robbed from us.
Eric tried. That didn't go very well.
They're real mad. They're real mad. The other teams are real pissed off. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess now. I can't do any more.
I don't understand why this is a hard decision. Not only are you dealing with a fucked up deal here in the rules, but you're with 10 grand in my race car. Shit, if they can stop me before I get out of the gate, good for them. Otherwise, I'm taking the car to North Carolina and they can all kiss my ass.
Like, why do they want to win that way anyways? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at that.
Why do you want to be hated and win like that?
I mean, look at it.
The thing you gotta understand is that nobody has ever tried to write a rule book like this. It's hard, it's complicated, there's a lot of moving parts. We gotta try and, keep these teams within the rules, but trying to think of every situation, it's dang near impossible. But from the team's views, they've put a ton of money into the cars. Their family's watching, their friends are watching. They're racing to win the car they built. They're racing for $10,000 in cash. So we have to make the right call here. Otherwise, this whole thing could just blow up and be a huge mess.
I'm frustrated, I'm upset, not directly at you, not directly at Petty, just the situation sucks. We all know that. I feel like that you guys are trying to fix the situation for the mistake that was made. But in the process, you've screwed the rest of us.
Here's how it happened. They've got this big turbo on there. They go out there and make their lick. They go 4/10 faster than everybody. Congratulations, they did their job. You can't let that pass stay because now you're trying to add weight to them. So they made an illegal pass under weight. They can't do that because they need to make that pass with that weight. So that run is null and void, first of all. That's out. There's no way you can do that in any sport, anywhere, and go, oh, that got biased, next time put 75 pounds on. So that's wrong.
I can't fix what happened in the past. I can only fix the next round of racing, right? That's one thing I learned a long time ago with setting rules. Like, you can only fix the next round. You can't fix what happened already.
The number one qualifier doesn't bother me one bit. It's the point that they did it at an illegal weight.
What else do you want us to do, James? The dude's 4/10 faster, as we obviously know why.
At one point, everybody said they were quitting, leaving, and packing up. But look, in that situation, nobody wins. So we have to come up with a situation where everybody is at least somewhat happy. We talked with every single member of the Dream Team, and we think we came up with a pretty happy medium. The Dream Team, they can run the 80mm turbo. They can keep it on their car, and they can race with it. But the way they bought it, the way they traded their old 75mm turbo off the car to buy it, that doesn't work. 100% against the rules. And in the rule book, if they're gonna spend that money to buy that 80mm unit, they have to weigh 3,400 pounds. It's in the rule book, clear as day. That's what you have to run. That's what you have to weigh. And finally, since they went 859, 858, whatever they ran in the last round, they weren't at weight. They didn't weigh 3,400 pounds, so that run is tossed, and it means they're number 4 qualifier. Finally, we can race. That was nearly an impossible situation to figure out, but we came out of the other side. The thing you gotta remember, all these guys are good guys. They're good racers. They're trying to find these edges. We found a compromise, and now it can be settled the way it was supposed to, going down the quarter mile.
We are ready. We are gonna win. We are going in the 8th.
This will be awesome.
The drama's over and the ladder is set. The teams are excited to finally settle things once and for all on the track. In round 1 eliminations, we have Stinky Pinky's Dean Carnes, the number 1 qualifier, taking on Dwayne Big Daddy Guttridge. Stinky's ran high 8s at almost 160 miles per hour, but Dwayne's ran in the mid-8s. That run didn't count, and now the team's carrying about 80 more pounds on their car. How much will that affect them? Also, what kind of light will they cut? The trans brake and bump box has made the Dream Team's car hard to stage all weekend.
What we do is just run it straight. Let no timers, no nothing, just let it ease. Just let the turbo rock.
Dr. Rodknocker's fast, but who knows if they can pull off a win here against the Dream Machine.
Stinky Pinky took off first, but the Dream Team ran him down. They're going to be in the finals of Horsepower Wars.
Stinky Pinky had a solid reaction time and held off Big Daddy all the way to the 8th mile. In the top end, the Dream Team's horsepower gave him a push past Dr. Rodknocker. They won by just 0.07 of a second.
I feel like I let my team down. We had the car to beat here today. We went A to B every single lick except the very first pass. You know, we have the best car here, but unfortunately we just come up short on horsepower. I mean, it's just nobody's fault. I drove good, the car ran good, we just flat got outran. And that's, you know, we got out horsepowered on Horsepower Wars.
After a lot of drama and an upsetting loss, Stinky Pinky was packing up and heading home.
It's not just losing a race weekend. It's something we've been working on really for months, you know, in between the application process and being voted on and all that. It's 9 months. So this one race, it feels worse than losing a championship on the final race. You know, it's not just a normal loss.
But a win is a win, and the Dream Team moves on to the final round. Next up, Team Biggin versus Team Bodie. Bodie's best pass has been a 9:27, and Team Biggin's been 9:19, less than a tenth of a second difference. This is anyone's race.
We are ready. We are going to win. We are going in the 8th. We are getting a steak dinner, and it's happening right now.
Bodie didn't have a functioning trans brake, and he rolled through the beans and red lit.
To the moon, Alice. That time when I grabbed it, it just immediately slid through. It gave me no shot. I was pissed the off, man.
Team Biggin advanced on to the final round against the Dream Team. It looked like the G-Bodie was making a lot of power going down the track, but he was a little too early on reaction time. Beer Money made its fastest pass yet, but a 9:07 isn't going to be fast enough to beat the Dream Machine.
Spun off the hit, which is, I don't know what we've got going on, man. But I got back in it and through the gears, 163 mile an hour. That's pretty big.
The car's still spinning on the launch, and if he does that next round, the Dream Team has it in the bag.
That's not the way you want to win a race. I feel bad for Jay and Team Bodie Dow Brothers, but that's okay. They'll be back to compete another day. But that means Beer Money's in the finals. Turbo LS, Fox Bodies. Let's get it on.
Both the Dream Team and Team Biggin have been working hard and getting ready for the final round, and the tensions between the two teams have never been higher. The teams are working on tune-ups. The drivers are getting ready for the race of their lives. The call came for the final round, and the Horsepower Wars officials called the teams to the lanes.
We are into the final round of eliminations, and it looks like Biggin might have found their problem. Their front wheels, they went to move them, and they were seizing on the brake caliper. I don't know why, but they might have found their problem, and they might be able to launch. It's anybody's race right now.
You got 2 in your hand, I've got another 2, I've got 4 over here, plus we've got these big-ass wheel fucking blockers too back here.
Well, we got a mile on the outside.
We do?
Yeah, like that far.
It looks like Team Biggin found their issue. When they built their car, the brake caliper spacing was off, making the pads lock up on the rotors. Not good.
Wore on it pretty good in there.
We just gave Team Biggin their 5-minute warning. They've got to get into the staging lanes. Dream Team is sitting up there waiting for them. They're ready, and they're going to be the last cars going down the track. Everyone else is done. The entire event is over other than this. And right now, their brake rotor and caliper that's not even bolted onto the car. They're thrashing, trying to get it together, but they've got to get up there in 5 minutes. And I'm just hoping they make it because they're going to be the last cars going down the track. Guys, this is your 2-minute warning. I'm just letting you know, you've got to get the tires on the ground in less than 2 minutes. Otherwise, the final round and Dream Team are going to run without you. So you guys have got to hustle and you got to get moving now. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if they're going to make it.
It's anyone's guess what will happen. Both cars have the potential to go very fast, and it may all come down to which car, and more importantly, which driver is ready. The builds, the competitions, and the entire 10K drag shootout has come to this. Lyle's run was as perfect as it could be. He left first and never looked back. Team Biggin needed a big number, and 8:51 was the best run of the shootout. The Dream Team played it safe, but it cost them the win. Big Daddy's 274 reaction time just didn't get the job done.
8:51, suck a Jeffrey!
While Lyle Barnett and Team Biggin may be the first champions of the Horsepower Wars 10K shootout, it's hard to describe what these racers did.
Here's what it is, guys. You win them, you lose them. There's a very simple couple ingredients. Customs by Biggin's Fab Work, an HED LS motor with a flipping F-body oil pan, and the right turbo. That's all you need. F-body oil pans to the front. But
got to come back. Making us put all that weight in the car, though.
Team Biggin pulled out a Hail Mary. Against all the odds, they figured their car out at the last possible minute and came out on top.
You ready for some poetry? Beer Money has the perfect look. Beer Money has the perfect stance. Beer Money has turned the boost down so that the other teams have a chance.
I don't want to wait for the video, damn it.
So here you go. 4 competitors, $10,000, 1 winner. And that winner is Beer Money. Yeah!
20 of the most elite drag racers, drivers, fabricators, and engine builders sacrificed almost 3 weeks of their lives away from their families to compete against each other.
I did it just to be doing it so I can carry the story on elsewhere.
Pushes you physically, mentally, every which direction you can. If you're a keyboard racer, there's no way you're even going to be able to compete in this. Not at all, not even 1% chance.
I probably would do it again because I'm addicted to drag racing and I'm addicted to competition.
You know, I would do this shit if I was broke as hell. This is what I want to do, and that's how I want to do it.
These cars weren't just machines, they were a part of each team. And saying goodbye was a brutal reminder of just how hard this was.
I'm glad to have this experience with everybody. Made a lot of friends, probably made a lot of enemies too, but that's okay.
Team Stinky Pinky, Team Dream Team, Team Bodie, and Team Biggin. You did something great. You're all champions, and you'll be forever known and appreciated for helping create something special.
Yes, winning is the ultimate victory, but sometimes in life you don't win them all. But at the end of the day, there's other objects that you're going to get out of everything other than winning.
I mean, I didn't even do it for the 10 grand. I didn't do it for the car. I did it for just a life experience.
That's what it's all about, guys.
This was our story of the first ever Horsepower Wars 10K Drag Shootout.